Hey, everybody, and welcome to episode 57. Time for change. You know why? Because it's springtime, and springtime means growth and blossoming and flourishing, and everything comes to life. There's colors and sounds, and everything is so vibrant and delicious and sunny and bright. And we are nature, our bodies are nature. Our lives are nature. We have seasons, and I kind of see midlife as being like springtime. Then I was thinking about how our thoughts create our results. And if we want to change something, all we have to do is change our thoughts. So, right now, in this moment, we could become someone completely different and somebody new. Or we could change an old habit that we don't like about ourselves right in this moment. So I was wondering, why is it so hard to actually do it? Because the concept is beautiful and it makes sense. But if it was just so easy, then everybody would do it and they would be the perfect self actualized versions of themselves. And that just is not the case. Why is it so hard to do it? And I was thinking about my coaching clients. For example, if I have a client that has that midlife belly and is trying to lose it, we go over what to eat. So they'll know exactly what to eat. So there's no confusion on that. But they can't do it. Why is it? And it's the same reason why we know that we could become a different person in this moment if we wanted to, but we can't. It's the exact same reason. It's because it's our subconscious mind, our subconscious that's running the show. We hit midlife and we want to change. We want to go from super mom to jet setting Sally, travel all over the world. Okay, that's me, but I'm just using it as an example. And we can technically do that in the blink of an eye. So why don't we? It's because of this subconscious. And what we want to do is bring it into consciousness. So, first of all, if we can learn and master how to do this, then we can apply it. But we want to notice, first of all, it's called our subconscious because it's under our awareness. We're just not aware of it. Think about your morning routine. When you get up in the morning, you never have to think about your morning routine. You just literally do it because it's the subconscious running the show. You've done it so many times, you don't technically need to think about it. Remember, our brain is designed to avoid pain, seek pleasure, and conserve energy. So anything that we do all the time, our brain will happily put it on autopilot so we don't have to think about it. So it conserves energy. And when we have our thought process or the way that things happen, we have our thoughts. A thought creates a feeling. The feeling creates that action. Like we take action from that feeling, and that's how we get our result. So if we use this concept, which is what I like to call the thought model, and I teach this to my clients. If we use this, then we have an opportunity to make a change, to become conscious of those subconscious thoughts and feelings and actions that are running the show. And the reason they're subconscious is because we've done them a million times. So if it's something that we learned when we were young, then we've been doing it so many times, we don't have to think about it anymore. And that's how it goes into our subconscious. But now we want to bring it into our consciousness because the first rule of making a change is awareness that it's actually happening, that something is there. If you don't have the awareness of it, you can't change. I always like to say that our habits and our patterns are this circle that's happening. And if we have awareness that we're in this pattern, that's like this one split fraction of a second in time. And if we have that awareness and have that moment, as soon as we're aware of the awareness, we can create that fraction of a second into a bigger space to create the space to do the work on it. But it starts with awareness, the noticing. And so we are the thinker of our thoughts. We're the creator of our thoughts. Like thoughts are just sentences we've created in our head. So, first of all, we want to know that we're in control of all of that. And second of all, we wanna know what what the thoughts are, what's going on in the brain of ours. And so we're the thinker of our thoughts, but we also wanna step back and be the watcher of our thoughts. If we can watch what's going on in our brain, then we can change it. That's the awareness right there. So remember, you're kind of like two energies, two entities, two different people existing inside your brain, the one who's thinking the thoughts, like creating them and then thinking them, and then you can also be the watcher of your thoughts. And then that's the awareness. And then you can make some change because you're bringing it into your consciousness. So you want to stop the pattern from happening. You want to be conscious of it. And there's so much going on in the subconscious that you want to, pick your battles. First of all, like, what change do I want to make? And then you want to be conscious of the way you're thinking about that. And you once you catch it, you can stop it, but you might be the person who is unaware of the thoughts you're thinking. Or you might be the person who doesn't know that you're feeling feelings, and that's where you're taking action from. So I want to offer up that the thought model has these different steps. You think a thought, you feel a feeling. From that feeling, you take action, and then that's what creates your result. So you have four opportunities here to jump in and create consciousness to create change. And everybody is so different. For me, I'm really tuned into my physical body, so I can notice a feeling. So if I'm doing something and it doesn't feel right for me, my physical body will give me a cue. Like there'll be a tightness in my chest, or like a lump in the pit of my stomach, or a tightness in my throat. Then that's my body going, "Hey, Heather, what's happening is out of alignment. It's incongruent with who you are and what you believe, with your values." And so if I notice that feeling, then I can stop and ask myself this $1,000,000 question: what was I just thinking that caused that thought? Okay, now we're getting somewhere because now I have the awareness. Now I can make the change. But say you're somebody that never was taught how to feel your feelings in your physical body, which is very, very common for people. When did you learn that in elementary school or high school? Never. So if your parents didn't talk about their feelings or don't know how to talk about their feelings, then you certainly don't too either. So the other one is you could catch yourself in the action, right? The repeating action. So if I'm trying not to eat junk food, I know, and this is a true fact that I'm sharing with you, I know that if I'm standing over the kitchen sink eating something, that I'm doing it because I'm eating it quickly and I don't want to get a plate because I know I shouldn't be eating it. So for me, when I see that action of me doing that, that's a cue for me that I'm doing something that's out of alignment, right? And so I can get back to the thought from the action. And then, of course, you can always find your thought from going in on the result line. That's usually where people come and work with me is they're like, Heather, I'm getting this result that I don't like. And I'm like, awesome. Let's find out why you're creating this for yourself. And so if you are starting with the result, it could be like if you're in midlife and you're trying to lose weight, the result is you're overweight. The result is you have that um, the extra weight in your stomach, which is due to hormones, by the way, not your fault. But that's the result you have, and you want something different. So you have many opportunities to find this. Like these are all clues to find the answer to your question. And so you can jump in on any line. Some people, I like to think that when I'm at the top of my game, I can jump in on my thought line and avoid the whole going down the process of the feeling, the action, the result that I don't want, only because I've been doing this work for so long that I can catch it quicker, so it takes less time for me to process. And that is the power of doing the work, the power of practice, the power of muscle memory, the power of whatever you do is what you're going to create. So the more you do it, the more you create it. in your awareness. So now that becomes the new thing. But really notice that you've got these 4 opportunities to create the awareness of what you're doing, and it's something you don't wanna do. It's the result you don't want. It's the action you don't want. So maybe it's with your partner. Maybe you have the same fight all the time. You guys get into the same fight. You'll say the exact same lines, and then somebody will storm out at this time. Like you could write this down as a script because you do it so often, you know it verbatim. So you could jump in anywhere in there, but you know that the longer you wait to jump in, the further down the thought model you go, the deeper into it you are. So if you can catch it at your thought, then you haven't had the feeling, and then you haven't taken the action that you don't want to get the result you want. So for example, if you're arguing with your partner and say you yell and storm out, right? And then the result is you guys don't talk to each other. You could, if you can get to the consciousness, the awareness of the thought before you yell and storm out, then it's going to be easier to solve for the problem because now your partner isn't feeling hurt because you yelled at them. So you can get to the feeling point. So higher up in the thought model that you solve it, the easier it is to get out of it because you haven't gone down the hole that far and you don't have to dig yourself out as much. And that's why when you can catch it at the thought level, it's so much easier because you don't have to go through the process of feeling and then doing the action that you don't want and then getting the result that you don't want. So I hope that makes sense. So you're jump in anywhere when you're learning how to do this technique. You jump in anywhere, the biggest clue for you, and start there. And then the better you get at it, you can work your way up to noticing the thought right away. But the $1,000,000 question is, what was I just thinking that caused this feeling? And if you don't know that, you can go, what was I just feeling that caused that action? Right? And then you can backtrack it from there. Okay. You want to catch that thing and then stop it. So if it's a pattern, it's a circle. It just keeps going on. You want to see notice that you're doing it and you want to throw up a roadblock. So you want to stop the action and the behavior. You want to stop the feeling, stop it anywhere along there, throw up a roadblock. And then you want to do what you want instead. What result do I want instead? So it's like, oh, I'm feeling angry, so I'm yelling. Okay, how do I want to feel instead? I want to feel calm. I want to feel grounded. Okay, how do I feel that? What thought do I get to think for that? And the whole purpose of teaching this, and when I work with my clients, I go in depth and teach them the thought model because this is one of the number one tools because you can apply it to anything. You can apply it to midlife, you can apply it to weight loss, you can apply it to your relationships, you can apply it to your job, you can apply it to your boss. It doesn't matter what you're working on. This works for everything. So the more you use it, the better you get. But the whole reason we're talking about this is because you can use this philosophy to change who you are as a person transitioning into a different part of your life. So as you go into the springtime of your life, actually, this just popped into my brain. In classical Chinese medicine, it's not called midlife, it's called a second spring. I can't even believe that I didn't realize this when I was creating this podcast and writing up my notes. It's called a second spring because our energy, our chi, our life force goes from reproducing into sharing our wisdom and our love and giving back to the community. And that's why it's called the second spring. So, wow, this is so beautiful. I love how this just came together. And then when you're trying to create this new habit or become this new person, when you've figured out what you were doing, the unconscious part to create who you were, then you just figure out the opposite. How do I want to be instead? And then you repeat that 100,000 times. Then it's in your consciousness. So remember, we go from being unconscious, which is what's running the show. I'm not thinking about it. I'm not aware of it. It's running the show without me being aware of it. And I'm getting this result. I'm aware of the result that I'm getting that I don't want. So that gives us the opportunity, oh, the result I don't want. Okay, what action am I doing to get that result? Because we know out of like, I'm a big, big supporter, and I'll shout it from the rooftops that if you wanna get good at something, doesn't matter what it is, and you do it every single day, you can't not get good at it. It's impossible to not improve at it if you do it every single day. And so that's why the actions are so important, right? That if we can know what the new action is, we can do it. And how do we get into the feeling of wanting to do it? We think a thought about it. That's how we backtrack back up that ladder. So if we want to become a new person in midlife, if I don't want a mom anymore, and this is me, I'm applying this to me, you can apply this to whatever it is in midlife. Maybe you do want to mom your kids forever. Like that's okay. That's not a problem. But what do you want to change in midlife and apply this philosophy to it? So I don't want to mom my kids anymore. I want I want to be there just to support them, and I want to live my life, and I want to always be there for them, and I want to be connected to them, but I don't want to be momming them. So there's a difference, right? I'm there as a friend. I'm there as a roommate. I'm there for support no matter what. But I truly believe that all that I've invested in these kids with my time and knowledge and all of that, that they are good to go. And now it's time for them to do their thing and then learn through experiencing life. And so that's how I want to not mom anymore. And then I want to put all that energy into me becoming the best version of myself when I'm not momming anymore because I always wanna slip back into it. Raising kids was hard, babies were really, really hard, I found that the hardest, but letting go of my kids is the hardest part of parenting. It's probably because 'cause I'm in it, right? It's always the hardest part of parenting when you're in it, but I really, really am feeling this one, and it's really, really hard, so I'm if I'm feeling it, other people, other midlife moms are feeling it too. And so I want to share what works with me. If I let them go from a momming perspective, it's way easier for me to focus on becoming the best version of my midlife self that I want to become. So I put all that energy that I put on loving them and helping them and supporting them, and I give it to myself and I put it on myself and I use all that energy for me to become the best midlife version of myself. And then I take that process that I just told you, the thought model, and I rinse and repeat it 100,000 times, and I can't not get better at it just by sheer numbers. The more I do it, the better I get. This becomes my new habit. So this becomes the new version of me, and then I no longer have to be conscious of it. That's my new consciousness, and then it becomes subconscious because I do it all the time. And I've just changed who I am as a human being. And the better I get at the technique, the quicker I could do it. So technically, if I wanted to, I could do it right here in this moment. I'm not that good yet that I could do that, but I'm getting there. It takes me a little bit longer, but I know that if I do the work, I can create that version of myself. So let me just use tennis as an example. Look, I get it. It's hard to change who you are as a human being. And this is why it's so valuable to like have someone help you. So when you think about tennis, I was horrible at tennis serve. I had this thought that I'm not a good server. And so I decided that I was going to put into practice the law of doing the work. If I practice every day, I have to get better. It's impossible to not get better if I practice every day. And so I would take my bucket of balls, there was, say, 50 balls, and I would do my bucket of balls from every service center. So that was 4 times. And that was it. So every day that it was sunny last year, in the spring and summer, I did this every single day. It took me 15 to 20 minutes to do it. So not a lot of time investment. And this the season just starts now, and I haven't played in 3 months, and I just did my serve, and my serve was good. And I was like, "How did this even happen?" And I thought, "Wait a minute, I know exactly how this happened. I put the time in, and I got better." And I was so proud of myself and so grateful to my past self for putting the time in because I couldn't not get better because every day I was doing that. And if I have a tennis coach watching me, because I can't see what I'm doing, But say I have a professional who's helping me. They can stand back and see what I'm doing, and then they will give me tips, and I will get better, exponentially better, way quicker, like 10 times faster because I have a different perspective. I can't see what I'm doing wrong. And this is just like in life. And the reason why a life coach is so important. When I'm living my life, I'm just doing what I do subconsciously. But when you have a life coach, they will stop and they will watch you and they will listen to you. When I'm working with my clients, I hang on every word they say because a lot of the times the answer is not in what they're saying. It's in what they're not saying or how they're saying it. It's just so beautiful. But they tell me the answer without knowing they're telling me the answer. And when I can sit back from a neutral place and look at this person's brain because they can't see it because it's running in the subconscious, and then I can share what I see and I can help them see it from a different perspective. And they're like, wow, I've never noticed that before. Of course you haven't, because you've always been you. You've always been running this subconscious program that you're not even aware of. And it's just so much easier for them to see what's going on and what needs to change when it's been presented from a different point of view and a different perspective. So if this is you and you want to change, or you're stuck and you don't know how to get unstuck or where to start or what to do to create the midlife experience that you want, because you're in it. And now it's all about you. You don't have this distraction of kids. This is you full on. And sometimes when we get overwhelmed, we shut down. I know I do. And when I shut down, I don't move forward at all. I stop and I just stay where I am because that's just what my brain wants. It's easier here. I'm scared. I don't know what to do. So don't do anything. But I can help you with this. Midlife is your spring. It's your time to blossom and flourish. It's your time to put you first and create all of the amazingness that you know is possible for you. This is your time. Don't be afraid. Don't waste another second telling yourself you can't or you don't know how. Time is of the essence. And if you want to get there faster, hire yourself a coach. I promise you that you will get the results you're looking for way quicker with way less effort and frustration if you hire a professional who can show you your brain, your subconscious brain. And from there, you can make all the changes. So go out there and be fabulous, ladies. Remember, book a consult. If what I'm saying resonates with you, book a consult and we'll see if it's a fit for us to work together. I will drop the link in the show notes. Thank you for listening. Always love yourself first and have an amazing sunny spring day.